So I recently posted a video blog ranting about Katy Perry's appearance on College Game Day, but today I actually wanted to get something that's a little bit more serious. So I have some notes here, so please forgive me for reading from them. I just want to get the dates and names correctly. Basically, what I want to talk about is how unfair suspensions and things like that in college football really are. And depending on a variety of things that athletes are accused of or arrested for doing, their suspensions vary pretty widely, and we see a lot of flexibility, I guess, in their staff and in the NCAA and the way that they follow through on things. Recently, Todd Gurley was suspended from Georgia for getting paid to sign autographs. And that's the last case I want to go over because I kind of want to build up to it with some recent stuff. But that's the one that's really important right now, and I know a lot of Georgia fans are really upset about it because Gurley is one of the most talented athletes on their team, and that's fair. Having Jeremy Hill have been arrested and reinstated on the team, it's understandable. You're frustrated and you don't want to lose that talent. So let's start with June 2012, when Johnny Manziel, Texas A&M's former quarterback, was arrested and jailed for fighting outside of a bar and using a fake ID. However, at this point, it was during the off season, and his coaches kind of just shrugged it off. Manziel did spend a night overnight in jail, and he would later face issues for signing autographs and getting paid. Same thing that Todd Gurley is facing right now. In January 2014, Florida State quarterback Jameis Winston was accused of rape. However, a lot of the things that went along with that, people were really upset about because Jameis Winston went on later that season to win the Heisman and later a national championship. We didn't see a whole lot of trouble on his plate at that point, and some other things that he's done in the offseason and since then have also frustrated people, seeing that Jameis is an incredible quarterback. He's an outstanding athlete, but it seems that he's a little bit above the law, and that's one of the things that I would like to point out, that the NCAA does not fairly and justly persecute or whatever every single athlete. There are so many cases. Even just doing some research today, I found like 30 cases in the past year, and that's probably not even scratching the surface of it. And this is just college football. We're not talking about the NFL with Ray Rice and Adrian Peterson and things like that. We're talking just college athletes who are not always treated fairly or punished justly for what they do. Later in April 2014, my personal team, UNM Lobos, the school that I go to, actually attend class with these two guys. Saquon Edwards and Crusoe Gongbe were both arrested for the rape of a classmate, a young girl who goes to UNM. Later, the players were both suspended from the team, but reinstated for the 2014 season. I personally know for sure that Crusoe Gongbe has played this season, and he seems like a great guy. He seems really intelligent. That case, I mean, there's so many different things to consider in cases like that, but still, nevertheless, their punishments, they were suspended for a short time and then reinstated. In other cases, such as the June 2014 case against LSU's Jalen Mills, who was arrested and suspended indefinitely from LSU for second-degree battery. And in July 2014, Georgia's defensive lineman Jonathan Taylor was arrested. This is his second arrest during off-season. Keep that in mind. This time he was arrested for aggravated assault, and he was consequently released from the team permanently. Cases like this, we have to kind of consider. Aggravated assault, rape, those are things that are very serious and should be taken very serious and tried and considered very seriously, especially when you're trying to come up with a fair and just punishment for the athlete accused of these actions, especially when they are rightly accused of these actions and are convicted for their crimes. In 2014 July, Texas Longhorns suspended and also later released multiple athletes for a sexual assault and violating their program rules. Some of these athletes include safety Josh Turner, their running back Jalen Overstreet, and defensive back Chavosky Collins. Later on, when those players were released from the team, they were also released alongside senior running back Joe Bergeron. And I don't know if I said that right, but those players were released for a sexual assault. And other players who were accused of rape or aggravated assault or battery were later reinstated to their teams and able to play again. So how fair are all of these punishments? Again, in September 2014, we see Winston in trouble again at Florida State, this time for using profane language, jumping up on a table in the Student Union building, yelling out something that I will not repeat, but I'm sure you've already heard this story. And he was suspended for 1 game, which, I mean, you know, he made a big scene and he was disrespectful, but 1 game might have been fair in that situation. In September 2014, we see West Virginia's cornerback, Daryl Woodley. He was arrested for grabbing a woman by her throat and throwing her to the ground. At this time, he was indefinitely suspended from his team, and we see this a lot in assault cases. What they call a suspension, similar with Jeremy Hills, he was indefinitely suspended, but later reinstated based on the team's decision. So we don't know what will happen in the future with these players or what is currently happening, but we know based on these articles that they were suspended in what is called indefinitely, not always an indefinite suspension. Again, September 2014, Miami Hurricanes backup quarterback Kevin Olson was suspended for using a fake ID and for DUI. Olson missed a bowl game and has served 2 previous suspensions during his time at Miami. And at this point, you're wondering, how is Todd Gurley going to lose out on an entire season when a player like this has already served 2 suspensions, missed a bowl game, and is arrested for crimes that are very, very illegal outside of football? There's just no real justice here, and it's so frustrating to me. October 2014, we see Kentucky Wildcats defensive lineman Lloyd Tubman. He was arrested for first-degree rape. He did serve time and is indefinitely suspended from the team. However, again, rape cases, some, Winston and Crusoe Gongbe and Saquon Edwards, faced these very differently. Winston never actually served time for that, and Saquon and Crusoe both were arrested and held without bail, while Tubman is serving time and could potentially serve up to 20 years for first-degree rape and is also suspended indefinitely from his team. Now we come to Todd Gurley. Georgia has released Todd Gurley for what we expect to be the remainder of the 2014 season, potentially longer, maybe shorter, for expecting pay to sign autographs. It looks like he's taking a page from Johnny Manziel's book. Hopefully not. Todd Gurley seems like an incredible athlete. Being able to watch him play for Georgia, it's the thrill that you get from watching these athletes is unimaginable. And hearing that they may not be playing for your team anymore, as a fan, I know lots of Georgia fans, they're frustrated, they're disappointed, and they're mad. So hopefully this video kind of gives you an idea that these athletes are not above the law. They're not always held to accountable for what they've done, but they're definitely not above the law. And I truly believe if you commit a crime that's illegal and that you were previously informed about the consequences of that crime or action, you should be punished according to the degree of severity. In this instance, Todd Gurley, there's no way he didn't know that he couldn't ask for money for autographs. He watched Johnny Manziel suffer a huge media outbreak and lots of consequences for his actions with a similar situation, and he has to know. They tell athletes ahead of time when they're signing a contract with the school, you can't get paid to do what you do because you're signing with the school owns you almost. And yeah, I mean, I don't think that that's always fair in the instances that they bring in large sums of revenue for these colleges, and it's just to expect money to do what you do. It's like just any other job. He's doing what he was hired to do or picked up to do, but he's asking for money to do things like sign autographs. And as frustrating as this situation is for many people, I completely understand and sympathize, but you shouldn't be doing it. You were warned against it. Don't do it. If you know better than to do something, do not do it. If you were told not to do something, don't do it, and then you won't face consequences. Maybe get a petition going that college athletes should be getting paid, and I know that there's things like that going around right now, and I don't necessarily believe that they should be getting paid thousands of dollars, because in most instances they're getting free education and at top of the line colleges, but I do believe that paying athletes for bringing in the amount of revenue that they do for colleges like Georgia and LSU and D1 schools, potentially even D2 if they're good enough, that's not what this video is about. It's about just consequences for bad behavior of athletes. And with the wide range of athletes and behaviors in schools that we are seeing, especially in just this short video, and the small amount of justice that we're seeing, it's very frustrating, and I hope that in the future it changes, because especially with illegal actions, it's just not acceptable. Hopefully you'll take a look at my website, sportskinny.com, and you can read my LSU blog at gridirongirl.org. My YouTube channel, obviously, you're more than welcome to subscribe to it. And you can follow me on Twitter. All that information is down there in the bio, and links are right here. Thanks for watching, guys.